So, what makes effective goals? How do I bring them into alignment with my inner source, which is going to be our work now? So, here's what I call the 4 P's of effective goals. The first one is personal. So, the goal must be your heart's desire, not good enough to be worthwhile to others or just that you're expected to want it. You must take ownership. Now, it can be that others do want this goal for you too, but it has to pass the test that you're wanting it, whether others want it for you or not. It's not like everyone else has got to not want it and you want it, and that's a good goal. No. So a good example is I want to graduate from school because I want to improve my ability to learn and gain skills in my life work. A bad example is I want to get a degree because others will think I'm stupid if I don't. Now, both of these motives may be present. In other words, there's part of me that doesn't want to look stupid. But if I keep my personal desire to self-improve and serve the world as my primary focus, I won't be discouraged or give up when others change their minds or moods. So another tricky one here is, well, I don't know what I want. I'm confused. I'm conflicted. All right, now follow me on this one here. What truly excites me when I put my attention on it? My heart knows. Now, it may be that I have two goals that seem contradictory until I can get the essence of both while making my choice. For example, I'm trying to decide whether I should go back to school now or whether I should stay with my job and advance in my job, because there's security in having that job. I go back to school and I take out a loan and but if I go to school, I'll know that I am building skills that will improve my ability to serve and to do good things in life. So, what is it? I'm stuck in the middle. So, on the one hand, it's having the increased self-confidence and the skill I think that school will give me, or having the inner security that I think advancing in my job will give me. Now, I can have the essence of both of them even if I choose one or the other by broadening my limited thinking and facing my fears. Then my choices engender creative growth rather than loss of options. In other words, if I choose one, then I lose that. I choose this one, I lose that one. No. So I find ways that I can increase my self-confidence and skill set even while I'm staying at my job. Or I find ways to deepen my sense of security even if I go to school. The mind is always working in either or, right, left, good, bad, top, bottom. So when I'm stuck in the middle, I'm in my mind. The heart is big enough to embrace both sides and to come up with a solution that doesn't cause loss, but causes integration. So first one, I said, is the goal must be personal. The second P is that it's positive and pleasurable. So the goal must be about something that you want rather than something you want to avoid. For example, I want a healthy body versus looking bad and not getting the flu. Even when the goal is stated in a positive manner, challenging feelings and negative judgments can arise. So the inner objective to your success is that you have that positive aspect of it. So here's where it's critical to maintain your focus on the joy of the goal rather than on your fears or the negative judgments. For example, I'm teaching seminars and if I get into, oh, what if I goof up? And what if people don't like it? And what if no one shows up? I had to go through that the first time I did a large scale public presentation. I put it out to the whole world. I sent flyers, everyone, friends, family. Okay, no one showed up. Well, actually, one person showed up, and this was a patient on the ward that I worked on as an attendant for the county mental hospital. And this gentleman showed up because he just thought I was a nice guy. He had no idea what the seminar was supposed to be about or anything. But that was a gut check for me. Okay, I already experienced my worst fear. Do I really want to teach seminars? Do I really want to share with the world things that I think are valuable? And that was, Like, do I want to face this again? But there was a resounding life force inside that said, yes, do it differently. Find a way to make it enjoyable and of service to others. So you may run into some of your worst fears happening as you set a goal. If you keep your focus on what's the truth of what you really want, that will win the day. So keep the goal positive. A good example is I want a more well-toned body through daily pleasurable exercise. A bad example would be is I want to get rid of my excess weight and wrinkles. Okay. So even after I go through a week of maintaining healthy eating habits and daily exercise, I may not step on the scale and see that I've lost weight. Now, here's where I choose. I'm either going to focus on the good feelings. I had a discipline. I did something that I thought was good for myself, rather than creating negative judgments about my body weight. I'll have made a major change in my self-confidence. The first victory is that I did it. I said I was going to eat better and exercise. So I'll be in a much better position to have future body toning. And number two, maintaining my positive focus on my goal will make the difference between a successful journey, that is, learning what I need to on the road to my goal, or being stopped by the roadblocks of my judgments along the way. So we're creating a mindset where we're not going to lose. I'm either going to achieve that which I set out to achieve, or I'm going to learn something very valuable along the way. And even if I achieve what I said I was going to achieve, and then I recognize, big whoop, that wasn't okay, I still needed to set that goal and to go for it so I could then get beyond it, go for whatever is on the other side of it. Positive does not mean that I'm always going to feel good along the way. For example, I may learn that holding on to negative thoughts about my body while I exercise interfere with the results I want. Well, that's not necessarily a pleasurable discovery at the moment, but it may be a game changer in my life satisfaction if I reverse the pattern, not just weight issues, but for other aspirations that I have in life. I learn how to continue to support myself, even though the picture of it doesn't appear as my mind says it should. Third P is present. To keep my goal fully alive in its birthing process, I must breathe it into life now, not hope it may happen sometime in the future. The future and the past are in the mind. I am that which creates my mind and my goals now. As I feel the power which creates my goal and experience being the goal itself, I eliminate any space or distance between me and the goal. This is the true secret of manifestation, which both gives me the pleasure of the goal now, and it makes me resourceful in handling any obstacle that may arise in its delivery. If I'm wanting a new car, I must experience the power, the comfort, the speed, the convenience that the car brings into my life. Imagining these qualities and feeling them bodily, daily, keeps the magnetic force of my creative source single-focused and most effective. If I'm wanting health, I must focus on the experience of wholeness, harmony, strength, and vitality, of perfect health in my conscious awareness. This is what catalyzes both my inner immune system and my outer support system to have my body return to full, vibrant functioning. Allowing myself to experience being healthy is helping to create it. As the author Eckhart Tolle rightfully points out, all power is in the now. Now, I think I've told you, I've taught this course before, and what excited me about teaching it again was not just sharing it with other people. That's a great joy, but relearning it myself. So I've been dealing with things from a bicycle accident, breaking a clavicle and shoulder blade and 7 ribs and da-da-da. And I've been using my very masterful health consultant every other week. We've been working on opening that up, restoring vibrancy. But I've noticed myself tending to focus on where the pain is, focusing on the bad side rather than the good side. So part of healing is to focus on the wholeness and what's working rather than having your attention continually going to where the judgment resides and what's not working. And so Gary helps me each week, feeling whole and restored and focusing on the health and well-being of my whole body. That's why I'm taking this course with you, because I need reminders of this stuff. So a good example is I experience the growing, vibrant health of my body, or I am the growing, vibrant health of my body. A bad example would be, I'd like to be healthy someday instead of hurting as much as I have this past year. The next P is practical and possible. So unless I believe the actual potential of my goal, my mind will undermine its creation at every turn. I must convince my mind of my goal's probable and practical manifestation. If my goal sounds outlandish or impossible to me, I'll block the energies needed to bring it about. I need just the right stretch to manifest, like a yoga pose. Not too much, not too little. Helps to create a lasting change. So there's two methods that can work here to make this practical and useful. And we're going to use both in this class. Either of these are useful in different circumstances, depending on what fits best to me. The first is to outline a series of steps to my goals with timelines for each step. This is the holistic business plan that we're doing. This is the yang or rational approach. But what I'm doing is I'm selling my mind that this is doable. In my work as a counselor, I've had so many people that said, oh, I want to make a career change, but I can't imagine leaving the golden handcuffs, my job, and doing it. And so we sat down and I say, okay, what is the amount of income that you need to replace if you quit your job? And they say, oh, X number of dollars. And I say, okay, now what are the things that you love to do? Okay, here's what I want to transition to and doing. All right, then now to make this desired income, you want to do these three things here. How do you want to divide your time? Well, I'd like to do this primary, this secondary, this third. Okay. And so if you're making a third of your income in doing this, how much would you have to charge and how much hours would you have to week in doing it? In other words, we go through in detail. And at the end, they look and they say, oh, that's doable. Huh. Yes, I would have to devote this time and attention and get these skills, and I can do that. Well, the door is open. Now, it doesn't necessarily just go bing, 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 just like they planned, but what's opened up is they see, oh, this is possible. I can actually not only leave my job and survive, but thrive and be doing what I love. So we have to do a sales job on our mind. That's the yang approach. The second method is to just fully trust the power of the universe. The universe will bring about the manifestation of my goal, even if my mind doesn't have a clue as to how it could happen. This is the right brain or the yin intuitive approach. So if my experience can fully endorse the power of the source within and without to bring about my goal, then this might be the only step I need. So I've had this happen in my life. I've dreamt about something, really wanted, and all of a sudden, boom, someone offers it to me. And so, okay, that's changed something in my consciousness. It's like, yes, I can go through the steps to get there. And yes, there's also divine grace happening. And sometimes that faith in the source within and without is what brings about the results. So you need to experiment to find out which approach suits you for which goals and under which circumstances. And as I said, in this class, we're going to use both methods. A good example of the Yang method is I want to increase my income by 50% in a year's time. I say that and my mind goes, yeah, sure. How are you going to do that? Well, step one, I complete a professional certification in the field of my choice in 6 months. Okay, I see I can do that. Step two, I have my resume sent out to prospective employers in 7 months. Okay, I got the certificate. I can send out. Yeah, I can do that. Three, I choose an employer who best fits me in 9 months. I can see that happening. I've got the skill, I got a good resume, I got support in getting that, sending it out. Step 4, I advance in the pay scale in my field to 50% greater than my current income within 1 year. That's doable. So in other words, I've got my mind on board now, and I'm headed in the direction. This just pops into my head right now. I had a goal that I wrote down on my weekly calendar. I do goals and I rewrite them each week, and I wrote it down each week. And that was on there for at least 8 years. Because each time I look and I say, is this still a goal I want? If it is, I write it again. If it's not, or it's outlived its purpose, eliminate it. But this thing was persnickety. It just kept showing up because I couldn't deny I wanted it. And that was to write a book. Now, I had already written 3 books, but they were self-published, which was fine. I loved it. And I get to, do all sorts of things with it that I can't really have a publisher. But I said, no, this time I want to have a well-known, respected publisher accept the book. Now, everyone told me, well, you got to get an agent. You got to go through all these hoops. And my mind says, yeah, I don't think so. I think I'm going to look up what publishing houses publish the kind of thing that I would like my book published by. And I came up with 2 contenders that I said, I like the kind of books they put out. And so I had actually already written most of the book. It just, I was deciding now who is going to accept this. And so I had 2 candidates. I liked what they were putting out. I sent it out to the first one and they said, no, thanks. We're not publishing anything like that right now. All right. Second one came back and said, yep, we take it. I was like, really? Yes, we'll take it. In fact, they had a lot better conditions. They were a publishing house that would keep the book on even after its first run, and say, oh, it's not selling anymore. Well, discontinue. No, this book has been on now since 2017. And no matter what sales go up or down, it's still there and still available. I'll put in a plug for it later. So it came to me in a way because they will tell you no publisher will accept unsolicited manuscripts. It has to come through an agent. It has to come through going through all these steps. And I said, I don't want to do that. So I sent them an unsolicited manuscript and they accepted it, contrary to all conventional wisdom. And I love it. In fact, I'm thankful every day for this. So a bad example is, well, I want to be rich as soon as possible. Step 1, I fantasize about everything I'd like to buy if I had more money, while bemoaning the fact that I don't. Step 2, I purchase a lottery ticket. Step 3, I get depressed when I don't win the lottery and thereby do poorly on my job and get fired. Step 4, I blame my family for being losers and judge myself accordingly. Okay. So the yin method, the second method, a good example is, I want to meet healthy, positive friends within 6 months. Step 1, I get a vision of my ideal friends. I hold the spirit of this vision and turn over the particulars of how we'll meet to a benevolent sense of the universe. Step 2, I reaffirm the manifestation happening daily. That is, current friend becoming more ideal or new friends entering my life. Here's a hint. You could actually use this class as an example of meeting new people. All right. So a bad example is, my goal is to find perfect friends today. Step 1, I watch television and fantasize about being friends with various stars while going on snack foods, gorging myself. Step 2, I get angry and depressed when the stars don't respond to my fan mail. Okay. So let's stay with the process. You may see the wisdom of each of these 4 P's that I just said for manifesting goals, but still cancel yourself out as someone who can't follow through. This is a simple but profound fear that can be overcome if you're willing to engage in the work we're setting out to do together today. The truth is that we all have already manifested this process in many life areas, or we would not have made it to adulthood. We can, however, discount all that we have already manifest and just focus on what we haven't. This stops our flow.